Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Design, Create, Inspire. Today I am talking about being an introvert and putting yourself out there and giving speeches and presentations and talks and how to go about that and what my experience was like. Okay, so being an introvert, I am guessing that you might not right off the bat think of me as an introvert, but I am in fact a bona fide introvert. I like to think that I can kind of do both. Like I can be an extrovert if I need to be, but true in my heart, I'm an introvert. Now, I never really knew how to take on this identity, which I try not to. I try not to change up who I am because of this. And so I did a little research not long ago and I found some information that I really loved. So if you know Myers-Briggs, maybe if you don't, it's like a personality test. And I am technically an INTJ. And the I in that stands for introvert. And so when I found that out, I was like, yes, it kind of helped solidify a lot of what I believed about myself. But it also kind of, I try not to use that as I can't talk in front of people because I'm an introvert. And the information I found that I really loved and I try to remind myself all the time is an introvert doesn't necessarily mean that you are shy or you can't talk in front of people or you have problem with public speaking. It essentially comes down to how you get your energy. And so an introvert gets their energy from their internal self. So spending time alone, spending, time by yourself going on a walk, or I always associated if I'm in a cave by myself, I get energized. Where extroverts, they get energized from being in groups, being around the energy of other people, being at a party and having a great conversation, and that energizes them and lights them up. Now, for me as an introvert, being even public speaking, even speaking and doing my videos or going to a party, that sucks my energy. It doesn't bring me more energy. So after something like that, I'm usually just I need a break. I need energy, plug myself into a wall and re-energize. So that is more how I like to think of an introvert versus an extrovert. It doesn't mean that extroverts don't need their time alone. And it doesn't mean that introverts can't go and be in public and speak out. It just means that you get your energy more from a crowd or being with people or being alone. So this all came up because just yesterday I was giving a talk at Chico State for the Intro to Architecture program. And I was talking to them just about my career path and my background and, what I do. And in that, I talked about how, I public speak now. I get in front of people all the time. I'm giving public presentations, and that wasn't always comfortable for me. In freshman year of college, I was in a communications class that was just like a regular GE class, and it was a small class, probably 20 people max. And everyone had to go up to the front and tell a story, whatever story you wanted. It could be anything. I'll never forget my story. But I remember the person was presenting before me and I was sitting in my chair knowing that I was next, and I was freaking out. Everything, palms sweaty, having to focus on my breath so I wouldn't pass out, literally starting to see black spots. I was going to have a full-blown anxiety attack, and I was so nervous about it. I ended up being able to go up there and doing it, but I was stuttering. I had heart palpitations. I was not okay. And then, and I just say like, what I told them is like, you have to just keep practicing, because that was my experience. But in architecture school, if you are an architect or an interior designer, you know that it involves a lot of presentations and a lot of critique. And that can be really hard at first. And the only way I have gotten better at it is through lots and lots of practice, getting the critique, finding out, okay, I'm not going to die when I get up there. And when I was giving this talk, at the end, we did a Q&A, and someone said, how did you get over being an introvert and being comfortable with public speaking? And I really like this question because it's something a lot of us do deal with. And it's something that as an architect or an interior designer, where we're having to not only put out our artwork for critique, we're having to do it in front of a lot of people, to our clients, to our professors, to our other students, to board members in a design committee, like all this stuff. We have to put ourselves out there a lot and be the face of whatever we're designing. And we have to be able to speak well in order to convey our design so that it convinces people to have the design built. So whether you're in school and you're giving a presentation, or you're standing up to a design committee and you're an architect and you're trying to get a design passed, all of these things are critical. And you have to be able to speak confidently and speak well and convey your ideas well. So this is critical for our profession. And first off, I want to say I never got over being an introvert. That's who I am. It's just part of me. And it doesn't impact how I am as a speaker or as a presenter. What it does is at the end of those presentations or those speeches, or even last night after my, talking with the class for an hour, I was worn out. Like I'm just worn out by it. Actually, yesterday I had 3 meetings. I had an hour meeting in the morning, a 2-hour meeting in the afternoon, and then the hour presentation. And by the end of the day, I'm just like, whoa, like brain fried. Like that's hard work for me, But again, I want to emphasize that it doesn't mean I can't do it. So I'm still an introvert in what I believe the term means, but I have learned how to be able to speak and make the most of it. And I also find a lot of joy in it. So while I get worn out from it, I freaking love it. Otherwise, I wouldn't say yes to talking to classes or teaching or being on here and talking to you right now. So there's part of me that really loves it. And I have to remind myself of that when I'm feeling like, oh, I'm tired, I'm worn out, I don't know if I can show face today or whatever. I have to remember that I do love it, even if I don't necessarily get energized by it. So the other part of the question was, how do you get better at it? Or how do you get confident with public speaking or giving presentations? And my answer 100% is practice. Practice. Again, so the people that are in the class that I was talking to are typically freshmen or lower class college students. So freshman, sophomore. And I want you to know, if you're in architecture school and you're just starting, those presentations aren't going to be easy at first. You're going to stumble. You're not going to be great. But by senior year, by the time you're done, you are going to excel. They're going to become, you'll still always get a little nervous, but they're going to be fine. Like you're going to get so used to it. And so the more you practice, the more you do it. That's why they make you get up there and talk about your design, because you're going to have to do that eventually for your boss or your client. And so just keep practicing. Practice with your friends, practice with your people. The other thing I would do is I would literally record myself practicing and I would listen to it over. And I would find out that there's nothing better than doing that and then finding out the weird things you say or the weird things you do. Like when I first started my YouTube channel, I realized, oh my gosh, I say, and way too much. And I talk with my hands like crazy. So one thing that I've done really well is remove the ums. I still say them, but not as much. And I still say, but I try not to. I try to reduce that from my vocabulary because it's just a filler word that's not really needed. And I did notice that once I stopped saying my ums as much, I started saying my knows a little bit more because I was filling it in. And then with my hands, I'm just going to talk like this. This is just who I am. I love it. My stepmom, she talks with her hands. We could have a conversation with our hands and that's it. And I love that. I have heard that from a visual perspective, especially on a medium like YouTube, it's not ideal. So I try to balance it. I try to have a part of me still and make it visually appealing for you. So we do our best. But I want to say that I wouldn't have known any of those things unless I was watching myself and learning from those experiences. So whether it's recording yourself while you are in a, Okay. So whether you're recording yourself by yourself at home before a presentation, that's one thing. But if you can record yourself even during the presentation, like have someone else record you while you're doing it, see if that's okay with your professor, of course. But that is the best way to learn. And again, practice, 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 learn from what you're doing, and it will get easier. The other thing that I want to say about this that was really critical for breaking away that initial anxiety that would come up when I would get in front of a bunch of people is I would tell myself that nobody cares. And if you are part of my ARE my ARE journey at all, and you've watched any of my architecture exam videos, I talk a bit about this of detaching the kind of, caring to the exams. I don't know what that word would be. So detaching that connection, essentially, I was realizing that nobody in the audience cares about me, what I look like, or anything like that. And not in a negative way, like they don't care about my project or they don't care about me as a person. It's not about that at all. It's if I'm nervous, they're going to be even more nervous. Think of like being in an audience where someone's really stumbling or having a really hard time and really nervous. Like you get real nervous too. You get uncomfortable. You're like, oh gosh, come on, you can do this. You can do this. Like everyone in the audience is rooting for you. So nobody cares about what you look like. Nobody cares about if you screwed up on part of your project. You're the one that cares the most. You're the one that's most invested. And if you're in school and you have a bunch of other students in there, all they care about is their presentation. They're sitting over there having heart palpitations and worrying about what they're going to say during their presentation. They're probably not even paying attention to your project. You want to think they are, you want to think that everybody cares, but they don't. And so in a weird backwards way, that actually helped me not care. That helped me get up there, care about my project, care about presenting well, but not care about, who's watching me or anything like that. And that detachment really helped excel my presentations. So if you are an introvert or you identify as an introvert or you get really nervous with presenting or you get that anxiety, just know that it doesn't mean you're not meant to do it. Know that the more you do it, the more you practice, the better you're going to get. And then it will become like a muscle that's just, it is what it is. I still get nervous sometimes. I still, get butterflies. But once I'm in the flow, it's all good. And I still trip up, and now I'm so conscious of my, whatever. but I still trip up. I'm still human. But the more you do it, the more you practice, the better you'll get. And as an introvert, just make sure that after you go and you public speak or you give a presentation, just take a few minutes to yourself and go in a bathroom stall or go in somewhere where you can take some deep breaths and just kind of rejuvenate and get that energy back internally, and then get back out there and get to it. And you got this. So public speaking, great presentations, TED Talks, all that stuff, they are not just for the extrovert. They're for the introvert, the extrovert, everyone who wants to do it. If you want to do it, you want to be a great architect and give presentations, you want to speak on stage, you want to teach, any of those things, you can totally do it. Just practice and release that overwhelming connection to everyone worrying about what you're doing. Nobody cares. All right. I hope that helps. If you are a student and you give presentations, let me know what you think. Are you a senior and you still freak out every time you are getting up there? I want to hear about your experience. And I also want to hear what has helped you. Like, what during your process of being forced to stand up and give presentations, what has helped? Do you have any kind of routines, or do you do jumping jacks before a big presentation or push-ups or anything like that? Let me know. I want to hear about it. That is one thing I do like to do, is I shake out my adrenaline before I'm going to give a presentation or before I'm going to do a webinar or anything like that. So yeah, I want to hear what works for you. Okay. Thank you so much. Let me know what you resonated with the most. You can write me on YouTube in the comments, or you can always DM me on Instagram. Love to hear from you guys. All right, guys and girls, that is just like one of the things that I still say, you guys. And I don't know. I'm a woman. I don't take offense to it, but I know that this day and age, that's like a thing. So I try, but everyone. All right, everyone. I will see you next week on Design, Create, Inspire. Thanks for being here with me. Bye.